Shalom. I've seen several videos posted by various Israelite YouTubers, and seems like the talk of the town right now are relationships and how they should be conducted by Israelites who wish to live in their heritage once again. Mainly, the talk is revolving around marriage and the concept of one man, one wife, or one man, multiple wives. It's a touchy subject, and it's one of those subjects where if you cannot remove yourself from the discussion in terms of your emotional response, in the case of women, and in the case of men, your appetites, you'll never get to a true sound understanding. You have to remove the emotional side of it all and become more logical. You have to understand limitations of yourself, of your gender, roles that have to be accepted, the roles of the man, the roles of the woman. And I think also extremely important to consider is our current state. When you consider our people and how we have been viewed throughout history, both 400 years and way back in biblical times, our reproduction rates were always a concern for our enemies. During the book of Exodus, of course, we know that the Egyptian Pharaoh had declared that all Israelite male children should be killed on birth. Of course, the females were not to be killed. And this is of paramount understanding and consideration. Why not kill the females? Women outnumber men on this planet, anywhere from 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. And also, considering the level of contamination that's in food today, there seems to be leaning towards female hormone introduction into our food supply. I believe that ratio is actually higher, might be 6 or 7 to 1 now. But women have always outnumbered men as far as the population on this planet is concerned. So why would Pharaoh desire the women to be spared but the men destroyed? If his hatred was simply for Israelites, he would destroy the women, since they would be greater in number than men. But no, he wanted the men to be destroyed. So that's to be considered. One idea behind that is that men are the head. Men are the catalysts. They are the initiators. They get things done. They get things started. Women, on the other hand, are kind of the maintainers, the sustainers, the endurers. They endure. They continue something going that the man started. So if you're fearing uprising, you target the men, because men are the ones that will initiate an uprising should that occur. So that would be my guess as to why he targeted the Israelite males. It had to do with fearing uprising, and also it had to do with population control, because one of the blessings that Yahweh gave Abraham and his seed was the ability to populate rapidly. And that's been seen throughout Scripture and the measures taken against us when it comes to this. Now, in current days, the measures taken against us in terms of population revolve around, probably the most prominent has been abortion. You know, setting up the easy access for Israelite women to have abortions done, and convincing them that it's in their best interest quite often to have it done, that they're not ready to be mothers, that they're not ready for a family, that they should continue to seek intelligence, education before they settle down. You know, this was the descent into the career-driven Israelite woman who so consumed with her career that she was told was so paramount that she lost track of the fact that women have biological clocks. They have a very small window of time in their life where childbearing becomes extremely easy. It's easy for them. Once that clock ticks out, childbearing becomes, and the possibility of bearing children becomes a lot more difficult. It can still happen, but the chances are far reduced. So many of these career-driven women simply allow their biological clocks to run out. And they went on the rest of their life not knowing motherhood, true motherhood. Some may choose to adopt children, but that's still not the same. True motherhood, where your body forms a new life within it, then you go through the rigors of bringing that life into this world. That's an experience exclusive to women. And when they lose the opportunity to have that experience, they truly are losing an opportunity to be truly a woman. It is a very important experience in my belief, in my mind. It's not something that you should be talked out of or scoff about. It is part of what it means to be female, to grow a new life within your own body. So they lose out on that experience because of the information that was given to them by our captors. So it can be seen as a form of population control. Measures that they take to thwart the blessings that the Most High placed on us. I forget what the number is, but someone estimated like a few million over the course of the years. A few million of us have died at the hands of abortion. A few million Israelites lost their life at the behest of their own mothers. That is a sin, and it is a very grievous one, I would think. So you have to factor all this stuff in. Like I said, you have to remove your emotions from it and consider the situation, cause and effect, and the things that truly have to be done in order to correct the problems that exist for our people. Choosing to abort our children in at such a high degree is something that women will have to pay for. Our women will have to pay for that in a way. And probably the easiest way for them to pay for that is for them to give birth to many children to make up for what has happened. Now, in order for that to happen, there obviously have to be a male involved. Well, that leads us to another problem. There's an ever-growing number of Israelite males who have lost their desire for women, quite frankly. The cause for this is anyone's guess. Personally, I do believe in certain conspiracy theories. Too many estrogen-like substances in our food supply that are wrecking our hormonal systems. It's causing an overwhelming birth rate of women, of females. Like I said, far more females are being born now, probably ever in the history of this planet. And it's also causing those males that do happen to be born to have female desires and traits about them. And I think this has to do with the quality of food that is consumed. Lower quality food is more likely to be heavier laced with these substances. So, because of the poverty rate amongst our people, and when people are living in poverty, they're not going to be eating the best food that's available. They're eating this low quality food that's laced with all these chemicals and estrogen mimicking substances. You put two and two together and you see the reason for the explosion in homosexuality amongst our people. That's just my theory on it all. So, because of that, there's a ever shrinking pool of straight Israelite males. And as a result, the ratio between men and women is even greater for us than it is for other people. Straight men, straight women in our race, the ratio might actually be 10 to 1, men to women. Straight man to straight woman. So for every 10 women that are actually looking to bear children, there may only be one straight man out there that's actually willing to offer up his services. So you take all these things into consideration. The sins of our women, the measures used against us to curtail our reproduction, the drastic decline in straight Israelite men. You start to understand that in order to fix this problem, you must utilize the straight men that are available to the absolute maximum. You know, they are a rarity, and they have to be utilized in order for our people to rebuild ourselves as a nation. And as a result of that, considering all those things, none of that is emotional. It is 100% logical, looking at what's happening and trying to logically figure out how to fix that. Considering all that, the concept of polygamy is really the only solution. Since the pool of straight men has declined so much. And women do have a debt to pay for the roles that they've played in that, for the roles that they've played in our population reduction in general, chasing after their fantasies of independence, chasing after their fantasies of not needing no man, chasing after their fantasies of career and forgetting about their biological clock, and of course allowing the Gentiles to murder their children within their bodies. All these things factor together in order to fix what has been broken. Polygamy, the practice thereof, is the only solution. Those few straight Israelite males that still truly exist amongst us would have to have access to more than just one wife in order to help rebuild what has been broken with our people, help to bring our numbers back up. So it's things like that you have to consider. Now you have women that will get mad at the concept of them being in trouble for anything. You know, they'll get mad at the concept that they'll have to pay something back because of the practice of abortion, the high rate of abortion amongst them. The idea that they'll have to pay some kind of price for their career choices. The idea that they would have to pay some kind of price for ignoring their biological role in the equation. Many of them would get mad at that. And if given an escape from said consequence, being one of several wives to a single man, if they were given an escape from that by the Gentiles, many of them will take it. They would. If the Gentiles said, hey, support us, and that will never happen to you, many of them will do that. That is why you start to see things come together. That is why our coming back into being who we are as a people will not happen while this wicked civilization exists. The Most High said that we would be here to see these nations punished. We will witness their downfall. That is the only way we can be corrected as a people. Because as long as these nations exist, as long as they have their civilizations intact, our women will attempt to flee their just punishment. They will run back to the Gentiles and tell them to save them. See, this is the kind of thing, this is pretty hard hitting. There cannot be any options here. There cannot be any alternatives. There can only be this one path that we all have to walk in order to fix this problem. And it goes the same for the men. There are a hell of a lot of irresponsible men out there amongst our people who don't like the concept of fatherhood. So, again, if the Gentile civilization existed and allowed them a way out, they'll take it. That's why the Gentile civilizations will not exist during our time of ascension as a people. It just can't. Too many of us will flee back to it, rather than taking on the responsibility due. So many of us will try to escape it and go back running to the masters, to their Gentile overlords who will protect them from that responsibility. So there can't be an option. And these Gentile civilizations represent an option. That's how you know they won't exist. That's how you know destruction is due to them. Just like the Most High says, like I said, it all starts to come together. When you think about everything rationally and logically, you start to see why the Most High is going to do this, why he's going to do that. We cannot be repaired as a people as long as these nations that did this stuff to us have their civilizations intact. It just won't happen. So, and as for the responsibility of the female, like I said, polygamy is the only solution to the problems that they have caused their people. Well, the Bible confirms that. And I don't really remember what biblical verse that is. Let's see if I can find it real quick. But it's basically talking about 7 women taking hold of one man and saying that they will basically do anything he says as long as he allows them to be, as it's termed in scripture, called by his name, which I basically think that represents marriage. How in marriage your wife takes on your last name. Her last name becomes your last name. So, gosh, I cannot believe I didn't write that down. Yeah, well, it was always easy to find on Bible Hub. Anyway, yeah, that's in scripture. So you have to consider Well, 7 women to 1 man. Why? Well, I just went over that. Very few straight men left. Number one, needing to rebuild our nation as a people in terms of population. Number two, and number three, women have a debt to pay for the wickedness that they've done. You know, for their, running away from their duties of being mothers, allowing their children to be slaughtered by the Gentiles, pursuing male-oriented positions in society, wanting to be the ones calling the shots. So they go to school, get the education and everything, but while they're doing that, they are forsaking their role as being child bearers, bringing new life into the world, willingly letting their biological clock run out. So it makes sense. You start to see why that's going to happen. And this is the type of stuff you have to consider by removing emotion from the equation. And I find it strange that this has become a talking point for many of us. It really, in my mind, shows that there is truly some kind of connection, psychological, spiritual connection or something amongst our people. Because it seems like all at the same time, even myself, I'm making this video maybe about a week or so after thinking about this very concept. So I got to thinking about it. And next thing I know, I see several Israelites, YouTubers that I listen to from time to time, talking about it. So, coincidence? Maybe, but I don't think so, because I don't believe in coincidence. Maybe this is just something that the Most High is putting on us to talk about now, because it's something that needs to be discussed. It's crucial. It really is. There are a lot of us that have, a lot of Israelite males that have fallen, fallen in the notion of being straight, So the numbers between straight Israelite men and straight Israelite women, the ratio, like I said, is staggering. And the only way, it's just because of that staggering number, the idea of one man and one woman just ain't going to work for us as a people. There are just too few Israelite men that actually want to deal with women anymore. Those of us that do are becoming further and further in between. So as a result, marriage, one man, one woman, it just isn't going to work. And this has nothing to do with desire or anything. There's a reason for it here, It wouldn't make sense if Gentiles like white people were to start doing it, even though they do it anyway. It doesn't make sense for them to do it, because they haven't been afflicted with the kind of issues that we have. Numbers kept intentionally low. So that's something that has to be corrected. women made to kill their children at astronomical rates. That's something that has to be corrected. You know, a role reversal amongst our women that has made them, so many of them, to forsake their motherly roles in this life. That has to be corrected. You know, and the fact that, like I said, so many straight Israelite males are fallen. You know, there's not very many of us left. That has to be corrected too. You know, so there's that. Thought I'd chime in on a subject that seems to be on a lot of people's minds nowadays. You know, the concept of polygamy is a necessity now for us. It is not, this is not just have fun, you know. This is actually, it would actually be necessary to rebuild our people. You know, we are unique in that situation. But also brings to mind the concept of where exactly is the true promised land. There are some that believe that the true promised land is here in America. And I just think the problems that need to be fixed with us proves that the true promised land cannot be here in America. Because another aspect of repairing ourselves as a people, it will take a change of scenery. You know, though we will be around here to see the downfall, that doesn't mean that we'll stay here. Like I said, the Most High says in Scripture, we will see these nations fall. We will see these people crumble. So we're not going to leave here before everything happens. We're going to go through it here. We're going to live through it. You know, we're going to witness it. You know, I do believe we'll be underneath some degree of protection while it happens, though. You know, it's like things won't affect us that will affect everyone else around us. But we'll be here to see it. You know, then afterwards we'll leave. And I do think during that time we will want to leave. No one in their right mind will want to stay here. And, you know, considering the Israel over there in the Middle East, perhaps they're starting to experience a beginning of the turmoil that's due to happen over there. You know, they're having elections over there for their next prime minister, and apparently the elections are in a deadlock. So, you know, that's stuff like that could be the beginning of a whole big mess, truly. You know, that can be the beginning of a, you know, like a extreme civil war. You know, there are things that are happening over in that part of the world that, you know, truly should be considered, though some people would tell us not to consider it. We should stay aware of what's going on in that part of the world. You know, it can kind of give us a notion of where things are going, what stage we're at with things. But it's a lot of things that we have to consider as a people. We have to consider what's broken about our people. Truly broken. you know, and how to fix it, truly fix it, you know. And it's the kind of thing that emotions won't be of any help at all in that discussion. Not the emotions of lust, nor the emotions of selfishness or delusions of grandeur. It truly will take a logical frame of mind, rational, seeing the problem and deeming a solution to it. That's the only way to fix what has been broken with our people now. But the good news is that once we start taking those steps and acknowledging what has to be done, we'll be one step closer to regaining the glory that we once had. And that is a day to look forward to. Shalom.